Good afternoon. If Bishop McKee had not indicated that I would be speaking first, I was prepared to make it abundantly clear that I am not Bishop Jones. I am considerably taller than he is. In my dreams, that's right. I am delighted to be here with you to talk about the Connectional Conference Plan. And I just realized I don't have a clicker, so I'm going to coordinate for just a moment with the folks up there. That is the click sign, all right? And they can have a lot of fun with me in the next few minutes if we're out of sync. So I want to begin by saying something in all honesty and being transparent, and that's that many of you probably already have written off the Connectional Conference Plan because it's just too much change that's too hard to understand and too difficult to implement. Now, that's understandable because the fact of the matter is the Connectional Conference Plan has many moving parts, proposes the most comprehensive change of any of the three plans, requires 8 constitutional amendments, which always makes adoption dicey, and envisions a future United Methodist Church very different from the one we know so well. The Connectional Conference Plan's uniqueness means I'm going to try to pull off 2 things in the next few moments. First, share its basics, how it works, and what its impact may be, kind of straightforward. Second, and I think more importantly, try to present it from the inside out so that you more fully understand what it's trying to accomplish, why it's trying to accomplish it, and why it's trying to accomplish it the way it is. So, there's an old and not really very funny joke that goes, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is, that's the best way to deal with the Connectional Conference Plan, all right? Carve it up into 6 key, bite-sized concepts. So, concept number 1. It starts with a different diagnosis that results in a new prescription. The Connectional Conference Plan begins with a different understanding of the nature of the issue facing the United Methodist Church, and then offers a completely different way of addressing it. The plan begins with 2 critical assumptions, and this is kind of at the heart of everything. First, it believes that the United Methodist Church's longstanding and significant difference of opinion concerning LGBTQ persons is not a problem to be solved or even an issue to be managed. Rather, it is indeed the presenting issue for radically differing theological perspectives that exist in the church. These differences will not go away, cannot be ignored, and actually may increase. Second, in the world in which the church seeks to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, that world is made up of increasing numbers of highly differentiated context. These 2 will not go away, cannot be ignored, and actually may increase. So the Connectional Conference Plan's diagnosis is that the United Methodist Church cannot continue to address these 2 realities like we've done in the past, General Conference after General Conference after General Conference, because our old solutions of taking a vote to see who wins or loses, or finding workarounds to get us through till the next 4 years simply are inadequate for the depth of these new realities. If we persist in doing things like we usually do them, the plan believes at best, We will experience diminishing fruitfulness in our mission, and at worst, we will face the possibility of fracturing in a chaotic manner. Therefore, the new prescription. It is for the United Methodist Church to adapt to these new realities by approaching unity, connectionalism, identity, and structure in ways that are so significantly different from the way we do them now that they may seem to turn everything inside out, upside down, sideways, crossways, all at the same time. Key concept number 2. It defines a new form of unity and connectionalism. The Connectional Conference Plan does not seek unity by providing more stringent accountability to ensure that the church can enforce its decisions, or by providing exceptions for reasons of faithful conscience to those who cannot agree with the church's changed stance concerning ordination and marriage of LGBTQ persons. Rather, the Connectional Conference Plan allows unity to grow by redefining the connection that leads to new ways of relating to one another. First, it emphasizes that unity occurs through connection with Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. Christ is the vine. The connectional conferences are some of the branches. Second, it loosens up the connection by creating secure spaces that reduce tension and conflict through the creation of connectional conferences. And third, it retains a core of essentials that connect United Methodists through the General Book of Discipline, core doctrinal beliefs, our Wesleyan heritage, disciplined engagement with Scripture, works of piety, mercy, and justice, small group accountability, superintendency, itinerancy, conferencing, shared services, and shared support of global mission and the connectional conferences outside the United States. Key concept number 3. It creates connectional conferences as the primary vehicles for carrying out the denomination's mission. The Connectional Conference Plan replaces the current 5 United States jurisdictional conferences with 3 connectional conferences that have distinctive theological perspectives and definitions of accountability, contextualization, and justice. Central conferences can choose to be geographically based or align with one of the 3 connectional conferences. So what would this look like? The plan sketches this out. There would be a progressive connectional conference that would mandate full inclusion for LGBTQ persons in every aspect of the church's life. The Unity Connectional Conference states that members are not of one mind regarding biblical interpretations related to human sexuality, allows but does not mandate weddings and ordinations for LGBTQ persons, and ensures that no bishop, pastor, or congregation is required to act against conscience in these matters. The traditional Connectional Conference, the third of the 3, continues the discipline's current standards concerning LGBTQ persons and includes a covenantal commitment to a more traditional understanding of doctrine and moral standards. The new connectional conferences in and outside of the United States in many ways become the primary vehicles for carrying out the United Methodist Church's mission, since they are delegated the greatest responsibility for organizing, structuring, and supporting the denomination's work. The plan states they may or may not use the name United Methodist or the cross and flame. Key concept number 4. It proposes far-reaching adaptive structural change. In contrast to the other 2 plans that for the most part, maintain institutional status quo, the Connectional Conference Plan offers a significantly changed structure that lodges primary authority in connectional conferences, dramatically changes the role of general agencies, and redefines the authority of General Conference, the Judicial Council, and the Council of Bishops. This plan unashamedly embraces an approach to restructuring the church for missional effectiveness by giving the right to each connectional conference to create its own book of discipline beyond the general book of discipline, develop its own structure, own method of financing ministry, own services, own policies regarding weddings and ordination, and its own way of finding standards for ministerial credentialing in order to express its theological convictions and in order to better reach highly contextualized mission fields in appropriate ways. Key concept number 5. It would take a great deal of work to implement, and at times would be messy. The Connectional Conference Plan requires the passage of 8 constitutional amendments, will take several years to implement, involves a number of sequential actions by targeted dates, and requires a transition team named by and responsible to the Council of Bishops to administer and oversee the transition process. The Connectional Conference Plan requires choices. I want to say that again. The Connectional Conference Plan requires choices. Some may be passive, some are active, but it's a part of the reality of this plan. So first and primarily by jurisdictional conferences and current central conferences outside the United States, because that is the primary place that decisions will be made. Second, by bishops. And third, potentially by annual conferences, congregations, clergy, laity, and institutions, depending upon the choice their jurisdictional conference makes about the connectional conference it will join. So there are several important target dates for this plan to be implemented. In 2019, there will be the special session of General Conference, which will approve the plan and the attendant legislation. In 2019, annual conferences begin voting on the constitutional amendments with a hard deadline of April 14th, 2020. In 2020, there would be the regular General Conference, and jurisdictional and central conferences would vote to choose which connectional conference they wish to join. In 2021, annual conferences that disagree with their jurisdictional conference's connectional conference choice will have the option to vote to join another connectional conference with a deadline of August 1st, 2021. Bishops will choose their connectional conference by August 1st, 2021, and that fall, active bishops in each of the connectional conferences will meet with the transition team to begin organizing the new connectional conferences. In 2022, local congregations disagreeing with their annual conference's connectional conference choice will vote to join another connectional conference, and that's a deadline of July 1st. And during that fall, the connectional conferences will hold their organizational meeting. In 2025, General Conference will meet, replacing the regular 2024 General Conference, striving to get it off election year cycles in the U.S., and then connectional conferences will meet following the General Conference. Key concept number 6. It is a robust reflection of the mission, vision, and scope document that guided the Commission's work. The mission, vision, and scope document that was created to guide the work of the Commission lays out a deep, rich, and far-reaching understanding of the Commission's work. It invites, and I think perhaps even prods, the Commission to go beyond simply resolving or managing issues of human sexuality and instead to envision a new future for the United Methodist Church. And I really hope that you've had a chance to study that document and reflect upon it. Those who have put together the Connectional Conference Plan believe it is a robust, adaptive, and far-reaching response to this guiding document. And I think it is critically important to understand how those crafting the plan believe it is reflective of it in deep and meaningful ways. So, from the vision section of the document, it says, a way for being church that, we need to back up to the mission section. From the mission section, the matters of human sexuality and unity are the presenting issues for a deeper conversation that surfaces different ways of interpreting Scripture and theological tradition. The three connectional conferences represent the distinct and deeply held theological perspectives that are at the heart of the underlying divisions on matters related to human sexuality. And now from the vision section, a way for being church that maximizes the presence of a United Methodist witness in as many ways in the world as possible. This differentiation around theological perspectives and inclusion of all three within the United Methodist Church allows the entire church to mobilize in the multitude of different contexts across the globe, undistracted by issues of human sexuality. Also from the vision section, balances an approach to different theological understandings of human sexuality with a desire for as much unity as possible. The Connectional Conference Plan provides a secure space for different perspectives while remaining connected through core essentials. Unity is not imposed legislatively or based on winners and losers. Instead, it begins with Christ and grows through ongoing connection. From the scope section, open to new ways of embodying unity that move us beyond where we are in the present impasse. Consider new ways of being in relationship across cultures and jurisdictions, in understandings of episcopacy, in contextual definitions of autonomy for annual conference, and in the design and purposes of the apportionment. New forms and structures of relationship, greater freedom and flexibility to a future United Methodist Church that would redefine our present connectionality. The Connectional Conference Plan offers an extensive, adaptive redesign of almost all aspects of the United Methodist Church that positions our church to address the realities we find in our denomination and also in the world. So, what is the impact of the Connectional Conference Plan? And I want to be clear about something. The plan makes it clear that the impact potentially will be very far-reaching. In fact, it's probably fair to say that every lay and every clergy person will need to reimagine what it means to be a United Methodist Christian in the United Methodist Church. So while some of this impact will be unknown until the church begins to live into its new reality, because the United Methodist Church is complex, complicated, and global, some are fairly easy impacts that can be seen right away. For laity, the greatest impact would be for those who might disagree with their jurisdictional annual conference or congregational decision concerning which connectional conference to join. For congregations, some congregations will choose to vote. Others will not vote because they agree with the decisions made. There will be congregations that vote to join a different connectional conference. Conceivably, United Methodist congregations that have been connected to each other through the annual conference, geographical proximity, or historic ties might no longer be part of the same connectional conference or annual conference. It also is possible, perhaps likely, that three United Methodist churches in close proximity to each other might all be part of different annual conferences. Clergy, whether active or passive, deacons and elders would have to decide which connectional conference they wish to join. While all three conferences would recognize ordination that is performed in any connectional conference, an individual's ability to serve would be determined by the qualifications set by the connectional conference. Elders could experience a significant impact in itineracy because annual conference boundaries might change, they might be redefined, or there might not be as many opportunities in their former annual conference. Deacons could experience narrowing or widening of opportunities to serve based on which conference they join. Local pastors would be in the same boat. And it is possible, the plan states, that issues surrounding security of appointment might need to be examined. And as a very important component, connectional conferences will have to ensure that persons historically protected by guaranteed appointment, particularly women and ethnic minorities, would retain these protections. Annual conferences. Annual conferences no longer would be primarily geographical entities, but more defined by their identity with a connectional conference. While this could more clearly define the annual conference's identity, it also could disrupt long-standing relationships and perhaps conference-wide ministries. Annual conference boundaries could change depending on which congregations migrate where, resulting in newly configured annual conferences and overlapping annual conferences. Central conferences. Central conferences would be renamed connectional conferences. Each could exist as its own geographical connectional conference or align with one of the three identity connectional conferences. United States connectional conferences would support connectional conferences outside the United States through partnerships, mission support, and episcopal support, with the goal of all annual conferences eventually moving towards self-sufficiency. The General Conference. The authority of the General Conference would be redefined and limited to include oversight over the General Book of Discipline, shared doctrine, continuing general agencies, and connectional conference justice ministries, and it would also serve as a venue for connecting the connectional conferences, worship, sharing of best practices, inspiration, and building unity. Bishops. Each active and retired bishop would choose a connectional conference to join. Bishops' membership would move from the Council of Bishops to the College of Bishops of their connectional conference, where oversight and accountability would be lodged. Bishops elected after 2020 would have tenure determined by their connectional conferences. Connectional conferences in the United States would fund their own bishops at comparable levels through GCFA. These conferences also would continue to fund bishops in the connectional conferences outside the United States. The Council of Bishops. The Council of Bishops would refocus its work to provide a venue for ecumenical relationships, act as a missional body that gathers and distributes best practices, innovative ministry, and work to build relationships. As well, it would hold the Wesleyan focus on justice, inclusiveness, and the United Methodist Church's historic protections as outlined in the 68 Plan of Union. The Judicial Council. The Judicial Council would have authority over matters decided by General Conference or involving the Constitution, and each connectional conference could create its own Judicial Council for its own book of discipline. General agencies. The United Methodist Church would have 5 jointly funded agencies: WestPath, the General Council on Finance Administration, the Publishing House, the United Methodist Committee on Relief, Archives and History, and other parts of the General Board of Global Ministries as negotiated. Current general agencies would continue through 2025, and in the meantime, a task force would work to redefine them and to find ways for them to collaborate with connectional conferences that wish to. Institutions. Property owned by annual conference would follow the annual conference into its connectional conference. Jurisdictional entities would do likewise. And all of our institutions could choose to relate to one or more connectional conference or annual conferences. WestPath would extend its coverage to all connectional conferences. It would also have the authority to reassign pension liabilities based on local church and active and retired clergy connectional conference affiliation. Now, I am sorry about that. That is a long list. And here's the thing. In a sense, it's the tip of the iceberg. I mean, in all honesty, it is an adaptive, complex, and complicated plan. And I say that not to tell you I don't like it and not to tell you I like it, but you are dealing with a different kind of creature that has many different kinds of ramifications. And so, in conclusion, because my greatest goal has been not just to outline all the moving parts and to understand what's involved and what the impact will be, my greatest goal is to look at the plan from the inside out, to try to understand what it's trying to accomplish, why it's trying to accomplish it, and why it's trying to accomplish it the way it is. And the plan includes an excellent summary of these points. It addresses first, we're going to catch up, it addresses first the reality of the United Methodist and the world the way they are, not the way we want them to be. That's essential to understanding what it's trying to accomplish. Secondly, it redefines unity by providing a creative tension between space and connection through shared doctrine and agencies. Third, it embraces an adaptive approach that redefines the work and scope of agencies, annual conferences, the General Conference, ordained ministry, itineracy, and the episcopacy. Fourth, it enables increased contextualization and mission because the connectional conferences are very clear about who they are and whom they wish to reach. Finally, and most importantly, it provides true long-term possibilities for broadening and deepening the United Methodist Church's witness and fruitfulness around the world, because the full breadth and depth of the church stays as the United Methodist Church. I thank you for your attention. I now, I believe, call on Bishop McKee and Bishop Harvey. Is that correct? Oh, for a song. The band is coming. Thank you very much.